When the MVC framework is selecting one of your controller's public methods to invoke as an action, it will use any action selector attributes that might be present to find the correct action to invoke. One such selector is the action name attribute. When you apply this attribute to a controller action, it will specify the action name for this method. For the edit method that we see here, we can no longer reach this method as an action named edit. We have to reach it as an action named modify. Action name is an attribute you can use when you want to alias the name of your action methods. Accept verbs, on the other hand, will specify the HTTP verbs allowed to reach a particular action. You can say an action method is only reachable with an HTTP GET, or an HTTP POST, or a delete or a put. Let's look at an example in Visual Studio. Inside of Visual Studio, let's go back to returning the parameter that's passed to us as the content to display here. And now what I'm going to do is put an HTTP POST attribute on this controller action. So this syntax is a shorter and easier to remember syntax than the one that was shown on the slide, but it has the same effect. It tells the MVC runtime that the only way to reach this action is via an HTTP POST. And so if I try to come to the Cuisine controller and get to it with an HTTP GET request, we'll essentially see a 404 error. The MVC framework won't allow me to get here. I could change this to do HTTP GET, and if we build and refresh, then we'll see the default parameter appear, and that will work. We're not going to use these selector attributes much in this controllers module, but they're going to become very important later in the course when we start editing resources and we need controller actions that will respond to specific verbs, a GET or a POST.